Even after Negan finished doing his dirty work with Lucille in The Walking Dead Season 7 premiere, he wasn't done cutting into Rick's group. But who will resolve one of the episode's biggest cliffhangers? We have a theory based on some key evidence from the comics. Consider this your spoiler warning for the premiere episode as well as the comics. We're going to dive into some of the events that played out in the Season 7 premiere as well as what comes next in Robert Kirkman's source material, so let's get into it. Negan's goal was to fully break Rick, as well as strip him of some of his most capable fighters. The episode ended with Negan taking Daryl captive and shipping him off with the rest of the Saviors. Since Daryl isn't a character in the comics, it's unclear where his story might go from here, but there are a couple of hints from the source material. The biggest clue is who might go try to save him. Our best bet, based on what happened in the comics, is that Carl is going to be the member of Rick's crew who takes it upon himself to try to save our favorite motorcycle-riding zombie killer. By the end of the premiere, it's clear Rick isn't looking to tussle with Negan again anytime soon, even though his right-hand man has just been carted away and two of his allies were just brutally murdered. It's other characters, like Maggie, who are already talking about fighting back to avenge Glenn and Abraham and save Daryl. Carl was already ready to take one for the team when he encouraged his father to cut off his arm if it meant protecting the rest of the group. Though Rick didn't end up having to go through with it, Carl didn't seem like he was disgusted in his father submitting to Negan's villainous ways. That might change in the future, though, if he sees that Rick isn't willing to fight back immediately. In the comics, Carl doesn't take too well to his father's resignation to the leader of the Saviors, and eventually breaks away from their group to try and take out Negan by himself. Because he's younger in the comics than he is in the TV show, his motivations are a bit more childish, and his assassination attempt isn't fully thought through. It would be smart for the Walking Dead TV show to tweak Carl's motivations and use Daryl's capture and Rick's unwillingness to mount a rescue as his motivation. Carl is a more mature character in the show than he is in the comics, and the trials and tribulations he's faced in the past few seasons, particularly with his mother's death and at Alexandria, seem to have hardened him into a stronger, smarter character. It wouldn't make sense for him to break ranks simply because he disagreed with his father, but it would make sense for him to think he's capable of rescuing Daryl on his own if he's not getting Rick's support. Whether it's an effective rescue attempt remains to be seen. In fact, it's more likely that the outcome of Carl's rescue mission will mirror what happened in the comics with his assassination attempt. But with Daryl off the radar for the time being, this is the story thread from the comics that makes the most sense to eventually tie the two groups back together. The real question is whether Carl, or whoever ends up going after Daryl, will be able to save the crossbow-slinging warrior before Negan and Dwight have their way with him. And if he gets Daryl ironed out before he returns to Rick's group, it's going to be even worse news for the rest of the Alexandrians. For more of The Walking Dead theories, interviews, and news, keep it locked on IGN.